Okay, welcome to the program. It is November the 1st. You're with the Editor-in-Chief live with Esther's Oil, a pinch and a punch for the first of the month. Your multi-ingredient Omega-3 Healthing Aging Supplement backed by thousands of satisfied customers. 6 supplements in 1 capsule supports joint, heart and brain health. Take as directed. You must read the label. It is About Health Auckland.
Duncan Garner, live.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome. I'm Duncan Garner. Good to see you. Good to get you involved tonight. Rambo Estrada is a surfer and a photographer who lives in Mount Maunganui. He has a cult following in the photography world, 115,000 followers on Instagram, and his latest book chronicles his surf road trips across New Zealand. It's a book about the roadie. This book, as it stands, is a standout. The stories are so authentic, and you can see he has poured his heart and soul and all his talent into telling these truly unique stories about surfing in New Zealand and chasing the best waves and driving down roads that he's never been on before. All up, it's an incredible book, a powerful story about life in New Zealand. The pictures are so amazing. I don't think I've seen New Zealand look like this before. More than anything, you can tell that this is authentic and it's his own work. All his own work. And Rambo is with me now. Rambo, g'day.
Yeah, cheers, Duncan. Thanks so much for having me along.
Unbound Volume 1, the Aotearoa road trip. Is there a Volume 2 and 3 going to come as well, is there? I'm
not sure about 3, but definitely 2.
Yeah.
2 for sure.
What was your mission? What did you surf? You love surfing, but this is more than just a book about surfing and waves. This is a book about living life. It's a road trip book in many ways, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I love being on the road. That's my favorite place. If I can spend more days of the year on the road than I have at home, then I feel like that year's a success. So, and I think Aotearoa is such an amazing country, and there's so much cool stuff out there, and just wanted to share that with the people.
Yeah. Are you one of those guys that's restless at home and only sort of feels comfortable in life when you're on the road or in the water?
I definitely feel most alive when I'm on the road, for sure. Yeah.
And what about doing it on your own? Do you find that it's best to do road trips on your own?
Yeah, I think if you're on your own, then you don't have any distractions. So I wouldn't say it's better to do road trips on your own, but I think for what I'm trying to achieve, it can be better. Obviously, it's a lot more fun if you're out with friends, but
yes.
if you want to be creating as much as you possibly can, then if you're on your own, then that's going to be a better way to do it, I think.
One of the things that we do in this country is we stick to main roads. We go from destination A to B and we stick to the highways or whatever's in front of us, and very rarely do we go off the beaten track. But the beaten track in New Zealand is, and I search for this too, is the most astonishing people live down those roads, and astonishing houses and astonishing places and beaches and things. That's what you've been out discovering, haven't you?
Yeah, it's always the most exciting for me if I can go on a road that I've never been on before. So yeah, often I'll look and if there's a route from A to B, but there's an alternate route that I haven't been before, I like to take that route. And then if there's a beach that I haven't been to, I'll always like to go and have a little sniff around and see what's down there.
If I was a foreign surfer, I'd never been to New Zealand, and I picked up this book, I would look at this and I think, wow, what a surfing destination, because you've captured waves and surf in here. That's incredible.
Yeah, we do have amazing waves in New Zealand, but you have to be prepared to drive and hunt for them. If you just stick around at one beach and, if you came from the States and you booked a batch at one beach in New Zealand for a month, you're kind of having a shocker, because I'm sure you get the odd day of good waves, but man, you could get waves anywhere in New Zealand. Absolutely any day of the year in New Zealand. So yeah, if you're prepared to put the miles in, you're going to have so much more of an interesting trip.
Where's the most fascinating part of New Zealand for you? Where's the bit that you return to time and time again? The place that you love?
Yeah, my favourite zone is the Catlins on the south coast of the South Island. It's just so wild, raw, remote, and really uncrowded and isolated. That's just beautiful. There's amazing surf down there. There's so much cool coastline that you can't drive to, but a lot that you can walk to.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just magic down there.
It is, isn't it? I've only been there once. I went there with Mark Richardson a few years back from the AM show, and he took a surfboard and went for a surf.
Oh, cool.
He loves it. He's never happy unless he's had a surf, and it really is wild, isn't it? It's sort of, in many ways, last frontier kind of stuff. As far as New Zealand goes, there's no one there.
Yeah, it's crazy, and there's nothing between the Catlins and Antarctica, so
yeah,
it's
well,
it's pretty raw. It's pretty raw.
There's probably great white sharks. I don't mean to bring it up too often, but I mean, this is where
Definitely.
if you have an accident at sea or whatever, there's not a lot of people around to help you, and you are battling the elements, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. There's one spot that I shot down there, and I swam from the water. And as soon as I got out there, I was like, "Oh, this is a terrible idea." It was terrifying, and I got bounced on the reef, and I just swam straight in because I knew that this wasn't a smart move to be out there on your own.
Yeah, that tunes through you, right? Whereas you can be guaranteed most of the time to be able to get a wave. Where would you go?
I think that south coast of the South Island is the most consistent between the Catlins and Dunedin. Like Dunedin's is so amazing because it has a peninsula, so they can get south swell, they can get north swell, east swell, pretty much anything except for, or maybe they could probably get a little bit of west swell as well. So I'd say Dunedin's probably the most consistent spot in New Zealand.
Wow, and you don't always hear that too, because you hear people talk about Raglan and places like that which get the good rap and that sort of thing, but you don't always hear, it's Dunedin. I mean, if you're from Dunedin and you know Dunedin, you'll know it's Dunedin, but you got to know don't you?
Yeah, I think with Raglan's probably the most consistent spot if you were just going to stay at the one break. But then Dunedin, if you're prepared to drive half an hour each day, there's so many more options that face so many different directions. So that would be, we go to. I have quite a few friends that went to university in Dunedin, and they're still there. They're
Still there?
Yeah, not at university. They're not at university, but they still live in Dunedin because they realize they're like, wow, this place is amazing. I don't want to leave.
This book, in many ways, it's a bit of a must for coffee tables and for libraries around New Zealand, because if you're not interested in reading about it, then just look at it, because your standard of photography is just incredible.
Thank you.
I mean, you're a professional photographer, I take it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I mean,
I appreciate it. I think Aotearoa does a lot of the heavy lifting and a lot of those photos, but I'm there to click the button, and it's just a matter of being in that right place at the right time.
What is it that drives you about surfing? What is it that I got a good mate of mine who is just, and still at age 50 he can't get enough of it, and he will put anything else second to go surfing first. Well, what is it about surfing that if you're not a surfer, you won't know, but if you've surfed, you'll know. What is that?
Yeah, I think it's sort of, I don't know if you'd call it a sport, but it's that kind of one activity that you can do on your own, and then you have quite a connection with nature with surfing, because you're relying on the ocean as well. It's not like if you're going skateboarding, you just go down the skate park, it's just you and some concrete. But when everything's different, sort of every time you go surfing, nothing's the same. And then the sensation of actually catching a wave is so exciting because you don't really know what's going to happen on that wave.
No.
And it's, it just has this amazing sort of the gliding feeling to it. I often like just going straight when I'm surfing, instead of like a performance surfer will do, as many huge maneuvers as you can. But I love the sensation of just gliding along and going straight. It's just an amazing feeling.
And what's do you do longboard? Do you do shortboard? What's your specialty?
Yeah, I ride both. Yeah, a longboard and a shortboard. I used to only shortboard through my youth, and then I, after traveling around a lot, I realized sometimes the waves are amazing, but they're amazing but small.
Yes.
And then on a longboard, you just increase the amount of days that you could consider to be epic days.
Do you claim to have been to every surf break in New Zealand?
Oh, definitely not.
No.
Yeah, I would say I've been to a lot of them, but I'd say I've probably seen half of the surf breaks in New Zealand on good days. And so there's the whole other half that I may have been to, but I haven't been to on that really magic day. And then there's definitely a bunch that I've never been to. So that's the reason why we need to make another book.
Yeah, no, you need to do 2 and possibly 3. But what's the break that you haven't been to that's hard to get to, that you want to get to, but you haven't been there yet?
Yeah, there's a lot of amazing surf on the Wairarapa coast, and I've been there, but I haven't spent enough time there. So if I do another book, which is highly likely, I'd say that's going to be the first place that I'm going to go hang out.
Oh, I think you're right about the Wairarapa. I lived in Wellington for 20 years, and that was sort of the go-to, heading to the Wairarapa, and that's your home base when it comes to those long roads that that might go somewhere, and that's when you end up at a beach that you've never heard of before, and that's where the breaks are. And it's a beautiful, but it's such a rugged coast, isn't it? And there's wind, and the elements are all there, right?
For sure. It definitely has all the elements that appeal to me. So yeah, I think that's the zone I want to get to.
And what apart from the Catlins in the South Island, is there anywhere else in the South Island that does it well?
Kaikoura is amazing. Yeah. There's two really good surf breaks there, and you can see them both from State Highway 1. So often in the book, people will be like, "Man, where's this spot? I've never seen this before." And I'm like, you drive right past it every time you drive south.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of really, really good waves there. And the cool thing about Kaikoura is when you're sitting in the surf, you look back and you can just see snow-capped mountains, and the feeling that it gives you is like nothing else.
I'm with you on that. I've only been there once to Kaikoura, and I went there after the earthquake. We took a chopper down. We flew low, probably too low for the authorities, but we flew low along the fault line, and I couldn't believe how violent it would have been to lift the island up in one space by probably 2 or 3 meters. An incredible movement of land, and then I got to Kaikoura, and I was wowed by the place. It is so, the mountains are so stark compared to the sea, and they're right next to each other. And if you're sitting out in the ocean, I can just imagine you don't want that time to end.
Yeah, it's magical, and the marine life too in that area is like nowhere else I've seen in New Zealand. There's whales, dolphins, seals, probably sharks. But you can see it all in one day. It's amazing. It's
I wonder why that
really
is.
magical spot.
What is that? What is it about that area, do you reckon, Rambo? Because in other parts of New Zealand, you might see some of that every now and then, but everyone says to me that, and I've seen it myself, that it's really populated.
Yeah, the south side of town in Kaikoura is there's a really deep trench that's really close to the coast. So if you're driving south of town, you'll often see heaps of dolphins jumping around, and so there's I think sperm whales live in that trench, and then obviously all sorts of other crazy marine life. So there's just a lot of activity in that zone.
Yeah, tell me about any encounters you've had with marine life? Sharks?
No, I haven't ever seen sharks while I've been swimming.
Wow.
and shooting, but I have seen sharks surfing. And then probably the one that freaks me out the most is in that Catlins coast, there's a lot of the big sea lions. And so, Putakanui Bay is one of my favorite spots in the Catlins. And there's a grumpy gang of sea lions that live on the beach there. And then they'll circle you. And apparently they can be circling you for two reasons: if they're annoyed or they want to play, but you don't really want to find out what reason it is.
No, and also, but they will be, although there's not so much food are they in the food chain for sharks, the sea lions?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, because that's what the sharks see us as, don't they? If you're on the board, especially if you're in dusk and that sort of thing, it's unbelievable how long you've been surfing for and haven't encountered a shark, because there will be so many below you. I think about this now. As a teenager, we surfed a lot in Coromandel, and I didn't even think about it then, but I just imagine now, and we always surfed at 5, 6 at night. What was underneath us?
Yeah, for sure. Well, my favorite time to shoot in the water is sunrise or sunset, which is probably not a great time to be in the ocean, but it's when the light's amazing. So, I do think about it a little bit, but you just sort of, you can't really live your life of like water. You just got to enjoy what's going on at the time.
And also they're not all interested in you either.
No, I don't think
not
so.
necessarily just because the sharks is not going to eat us. I think I don't know how old you are, but growing up with Jaws as a movie, it kind of affected my generation. But I just didn't want to think about it.
Yeah, I think if sharks really wanted to eat us, there wouldn't be any of us going in the ocean ever. Because if they wanted to, it would be a smorgasbord. They just come down to the Mount Maunganui on New Year's Day and be like, oh yeah, this is all you can eat.
hello, drive through. What about the North Island? What about the far north? Good breaks in the far north?
Yeah, yep. There's quite it's quite difficult where I live in Mount Maunganui. We have a couple of really, really good waves that are nice on a northeast swell.
Yes.
And so the east coast of Northland is good on the exact same conditions.
Right,
is
so you
where I
don't get
live.
up there as much.
Yeah, and so we will often we don't really get a lot of good surf here, but we might get sort of 10 days of like outstanding waves, and when one of those days rolls around, it's quite a difficult decision to be like, oh, do I leave? Um, I have been leaving a little bit in the last couple of years, but I've been going more south rather than north, down towards Mahia. There's a lot of really fun waves down there. But yeah, there's Northland has amazing waves, and it has that thing where you can be on the west coast, and then half an hour later you can be on the east coast, which is just crazy. You can surf both coasts in one morning.
Yeah, you really can, and there's no one there. I mean, the thing about the
Yeah,
Northland beaches is there is no one there.
for sure. Around Ahipara, at Shipwreck Bay is that's sort of world class surf there.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
And so there's a fair bit of that zone in my book for sure.
New Plymouth also. I worked. My first job was in Taranaki, and there's a really gnarly surf scene in New Plymouth. Have you picked up on that one? Have you spent a bit of time there?
Yeah. Spent a lot of time there. That's an amazing zone. It's kind of similar to Inconsistency Raglan, but instead of Raglan just kind of having the main spots which are all work on the same conditions around the Taranaki region, they have that big peninsula that sticks out. So if the wind's blowing from the south, there's really great waves. If the wind's blowing from the north, there's amazing waves as well. And that is one spot where pretty much if you take I think it's Surf Highway 25 or Surf Highway 23, I can't remember what they call it, the road that goes around the coast.
Yes.
And then off that, there's hundreds of roads, and pretty much down every one of those roads, there's going to be a surf break that's good on in certain conditions. That's definitely one spot where you can just go for a drive and check things out.
It really is, isn't it? Yeah, those roads that just go straight down. You went on the Forgotten Highway?
I did, yeah.
What'd you make of it?
Yeah, that was. It was fun. I decided that I wanted to be on the Forgotten Highway at sunset and sunrise because that's obviously the best time to shoot. So I slept in my truck on the side of the road. And that was a little bit spooky place to be because it really do feel like you're in the middle of nowhere. And in New Zealand, that's probably about as close to being in the middle of nowhere as you get.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty magical.
I mean, if someone knocks on your door in the middle of the night on the Forgotten Highway, I would question opening the door. I'd be like, who's out here?
Yeah, for sure.
And
that
who
would
are
be
you?
terrifying. I would be pretty frightened if someone knocked on the door there.
You spend a lot of time in your truck. You sleep in it. Is that home when you're on the road? Is it?
Yep. Yeah. So I love. That's my fourth adventure mobile, I call them, and this is the first one that I custom fit out myself to sort of suit my needs. I had 3 vans before that, and I bought them all secondhand, and they were all fitted out to what someone else thought a good adventure mobile would be,
Yeah.
which is often not the same as how you think yourself. So, but when I got a jet ski, I needed something that was 4-wheel drive, and a good 4-wheel drive van that could do laps the country is a little bit out of my price bracket. So I went for a Land Rover Discovery. And then it was fun to try and see if I could fit, a whole living space in that vehicle.
And how did you do it? What does it look like in the back?
So it has a bench seat on one side that pulls out, and to make a bed, it's pretty much just a bed for one person. Maybe 2 people could probably sleep in there if you really liked each other, or if you're in the honeymoon stage of your relationship. But if it's a long-term partner, they're not going to put up with being in there. And then on the other side of the vehicle has got a little kitchen with a sink, and it's got a pull-out desk so I can do a bit of work in there, and then have some cupboards with a fridge and a bit of storage for food. But yeah, it's amazing how little you need when you strip it back. And for me, when I'm going from a van to that vehicle, I was like, I'm always going to be missing things, but I would never want for anything on the road. Everything I have, I can fit in there.
It's amazing in society how much people have, how much space they have still. We still build these big houses. We still think we need all the space. We can't fit stuff in. I was recently on Celebrity Treasure Island, and what annoyed me when I got home was the material goods that people have. And I managed to sleep on a sack for 20 days and nights, and I had rice and beans, and I fished, and I was happy. Like, having nothing and no communications, it was all fine. I came back into society. I thought, God, we've gone mad. We've got hell in a handbasket. What are we doing as human beings, you know?
Yeah, we all have these big houses with lots of cupboards with boxes of stuff that you moved from the last house that you hadn't opened in the last house. It's just, yeah, we have a lot of junk, but we don't need for sure.
Yeah. So you've done well with the van, with the car. So that's all set up, and then you just travel around. Is there a place that disappointed you? And I mean, is there something you probably didn't put in the book, but is there something that you thought, oh, that's a bit of a letdown? You keep going back trying to find the wave, and it's not there.
Yeah, there's not really. I feel like if you don't get good waves, it's always fun to go on a trip somewhere and experience that zone. So I always say to people, like, I'll get asked a lot from people from overseas, should I come on a surf trip to New Zealand? And I said, no, you definitely don't come on a surf trip, but come on a trip and bring a surfboard.
Yes.
Because New Zealand's an amazing country to check out. But if your main priority is only surfing, then you might leave disappointed. But if you sort of embrace everything else that each area has to offer, then it's always going to be a good trip.
2 final questions. How do you find the people towards you if you go down sort of dead end streets, but you've got a big surf beach at the end of that lane or whatever? How people live down there? How are they towards you?
Yeah, everyone here is really friendly, as long as you're respectful. So if you go to a farmhouse and ask, the farmer, hey, look, I'd love to walk through the farm to the coast. Usually the only reasons why they would say no would be, say, oh, it's lambing season, so it's probably not ideal to come through. Or if people have been there and been disrespectful in the past, they might be a little reluctant to let you go through. So I find as long as you're respectful, and that rural Kiwis love a chat. So generally, you might end up chatting to that person for half an hour or so,
Yes, true.
which is always a treat. It's cool. The funny thing is too, is I feel like for a lot of those farmers, having good surf on their coastline of their farm is actually almost a bit of a burden for them, because we're all interested in going there.
Yeah.
And we're kind of annoying in general. And usually the farmer doesn't surf. So it's an interesting dynamic.
It is, it is. But it's also, I've got a couple of farming mates who are very isolated in the Hokianga, and they welcome someone at their front gate because it's a person. And it's somebody different, and they can strike up a conversation. And us humans, we need people, right? So you don't know. You might be doing a mental health service by traveling the country, talking to people. You just don't know, because people get pretty isolated at times, eh?
For sure, yeah. That Surfing for Farmers, have you seen that Surfing for Farmers push they've been doing?
No.
Yeah, so there's been some community groups. I think the first one was in Gizzy, and it's an initiative to get farmers together and try something that's social, because they can spend so much time on their own. And farmers have it pretty tough as far as mental health goes, because I think a lot of them have gone from being the backbone of the country and heroes of New Zealand to almost villains in a way with
and they're not.
No, they're not. They're what this country was built on. So it's a really cool initiative. They I think it's once a month or something. They'll all meet together, go surfing, have a barbecue, maybe have a beer, chat, and meet a bunch of other blokes that are in the same situation as them.
John Kerwin does a lot of sort of good work in this space too. A guy who surfs, he's got a place at Waihi, I think, and he's out there talking to farmers a lot, because mental health is an issue in this country, and now we finally have acknowledged it and we can talk about it. And that's why I think even this book is, when I went through this book, I felt weight lifted off my shoulders and I was smiling at the book. I was smiling at it because I recognised some of it, and I felt proud to be a New Zealander when I saw this.
No, that's amazing. That's great feedback.
Yeah. My final question is: you only take you largely go alone, but if you do go with someone, there's only one person that goes with you.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
So there's Aoki, my partner. She loves a road trip, but she loves surfing, but her main passion is going to op shops. So often, if she's with me, we go surfing. But I spend a lot of time sitting outside op shops after I've spent my 5 minutes in there looking through the records.
Do you know that we have some incredible, and especially in the country, when estates have been passed over to the local second-hand shop, whatever. There's some real treasures in these places, right?
the more out of the way you go, the better stuff there is in secondhand shops. Around the East Cape was probably the coolest place to go to some op shops.
It's a great road trip, the East Cape. That whole Aotearoa all around there. I've only done it once. Went with my girlfriend after university, finished 30 years ago. But honestly, it was... I had a Fiat Strada, twin carb. And it just booted all the way around the coast. And it's a pretty special place, isn't it? Because it's so remote.
You'll probably find that it hasn't changed one bit in that 30 years.
Yeah.
I swear. There's been, pretty much no development or maybe the towns have even got smaller.
I think you're right. It's the same as the Hokianga. There's no bank, there's no post office.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and we're lucky to have these amazing places that, you can escape to like that.
Yeah. And we should treasure them and look after them in our tonga. Nice to meet you, Rambo. An awesome book, mate. Thanks so much for giving us your time. And I'll certainly be promoting this when I'm talking to people. This is the book to get.
Oh, amazing. Thanks so much, Duncan.
Okay.
It was great to chat.
All the best. Take care. Cheers. Thank you.
All right. Cheers, mate.
All right. That is us. Well, hey, what a life, though, right? Isaac, I mean, he travels New Zealand, sleeps in his car and looks for the best waves and the roads he's never been on before. It's pretty cool.
He seems like such a chill dude.
Isn't he, though?
That is incredibly valid for what he's doing. And the photos he's taken, like you were showing me that book earlier.
Yeah, something else, eh?
It is beautiful. We live in a beautiful country already, and he has managed to capture that brilliantly.
I don't think I've seen New Zealand look like that before. I mean, it's pretty, it is remarkable. It's the colours and
and it's right place, right time, and just
thank you for acknowledging
good photography skills.
Yes, very much so. Thank you. That is us. Thank you for tuning in to Duncan Garner, Editor-in-Chief Live with Estes Oil, the premium New Zealand-made fish oil supplement backed by a study. Support joint heart and brain health. Use the code Duncan for 10% off. Abouthealth.co.nz. Take as directed. Read the label. It is About Health Auckland. It's 0800 999 309. The people are right there. They're standing by the phone. If you want to get their product to get into it, that's the number.
Duncan Garner, live.
Right, that's us. This will be available as a podcast shortly on Rover or wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for your feedback and all your support. I'm Duncan at rover.nz. If you've got ideas for the show, flick them to me. Let me know. To my team, Isaac and our consultant Forrester and Lockie, thank you so much, guys. We will do this again on Monday. Remember, life's no dress rehearsal. No curtain races. This is it. We live in one of the best places on earth, so get out like Rambo and enjoy it and have a great rest of the evening and, of course, have a fantastic weekend. Take care.
That was Duncan Garner, Editor-in-Chief Live. Missed something on the live stream? Text Duncan to 3598 to listen back on the podcast. Want to get in touch? Call 0800 863 293.